This is Original Six.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Original Six. Ryan Savine, as always, joined by Paul Ananitis, Zach Mullen, and we have a very special guest today, ex-Maple Leaf, ex-member of the Calgary Flames, someone I had the chance to meet when I was young, Matt Stajan. Matt, thank you very much for joining us today. We're so excited to have you here.
No, thanks for having me, guys.
It's our pleasure. Second guest on our podcast. You have some big shoes to fill. Our first was actually Daryl Sittler.
Oh, yeah, it's a tough follow.
No pressure.
Well, it's following a legend. It's a tough follow, but hey, happy to be here.
Awesome. How have you been? How's life and everything going on in Alberta?
Good. I think we're like everybody else, COVID times. We're shut down right now, but not as shut down as Ontario, so can't complain. And just kind of take it day at a time. We got two kids we have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, so we're busy in our house with that, and hoping to things to normalize soon and come out to Ontario, visit a bunch of family and friends. It's dragging on a bit for sure at this point.
Yeah, it's a good thing we have hockey to keep us busy.
Yeah, exactly. The playoffs will go by fast, so that'll kill a couple months.
Yeah, exactly. So we wanted to start this off in actually the way that we connected. So probably you could speak more about this than I will, because I probably won't have a great memory. I'll show it to you here. It's our catalog photo. So it's me, you, and Alex Steen, and this was from 2005, 2006 as a Maple Leafs catalog. I was about 7 at the time, so I don't have the best memory, but do you remember anything from that shoot? I know it was a while ago.
Yeah, I do. Seeing it, I remember doing that shoot with Steener, and we did at Lakeshore Lions, the old practice rink in the gym. I don't know if you remember that, but
not at all.
Yeah, that's where we were. It was they set it up in there, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, it's great. When you sent me that, I'm like, man, I did have a lot of hair back then. But as soon as I got traded, I took it down. I probably should have did a little earlier, but my 20-year-olds, I tried to rock it as long as I could.
I jokingly wanted to ask you if there's any animosity between you and Steen since he's on the cover.
No.
They left you out for some reason.
Yeah, no, he was the first rounder. I was the second rounder. So I expected that. And he's a good player. He had a great career too. He got the Stanley Cup at the end, which I was happy for him. And I texted him a little bit. So he got that. And we had some fun years at the start. We wish we could, that the few years we missed the playoffs there early by 1 point before we went into the big rebuild there and we got traded. Those are, I look back, I'm like, man, if we weren't in the same division as Ottawa and Buffalo and had to play them 8 times a year, we probably would have snuck into the playoffs both years. But hey, that's just the way it went, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, when you were with the Leafs, at least for the three of us, that was probably when we first really started getting into hockey. And then obviously I got to meet you, got a nice little autograph photo as well. But I mean, you were kind of like my go-to piece for like my cool factor. Like I met Alex Steen and Matt Stajan. They're on the Leafs. I'm so cool. I wrote that for probably like way too long into my like teens, but that was awesome.
Well, fortunately there wasn't much going on with the Leafs for a bunch of years after that. When they traded once Sundin left, it was slim pickings. So I'm honored that you use that. But you're probably just one of the few that would say that.
Yeah. So we did wanted to ask you, we know that you're out in Alberta now, but what was it like to be drafted by the Maple Leafs, being from Mississauga, pretty close to the three of us? And were you a Leafs fan growing up, we could assume?
Yeah, I was a huge Leaf fan. I was lucky enough to go to, probably 4 or 5 games a year. My dad's company, my grandpa's company had season tickets, so they'd split them up, and we'd sit up in the Blues at Old Maple Leaf Gardens. And I was a diehard. Loved Dougie Gilmour. Obviously I was 8 or 9 years old in the 92, 93 cup runs. So that was right in the prime of those years of my childhood. And yeah, I followed them religiously. So I'm not gonna shy away from that. And to get drafted by them was a shock, but also a dream come true, because that's the team I watched and cheered for. And I was not expecting at all to get drafted by them, because you go through the draft process, and I was rated 18th overall among North American skaters. And so I was probably slotted to go late first round, early second if you do add the Europeans and the goaltenders in. And I slipped in the draft to late second round, which was disappointing, but I was happy about it because the Leafs took me. But the Leafs never interviewed me, so I went through the whole draft process, doing interviews with probably 20 of the NHL teams, and the team that didn't even interview me drafted me. To my surprise, I wasn't even expecting them to pick me when they called my name, and it was cool because it was at the Air Canada Center, and I had all my family and friends there, so that was also a nice tidbit as well, to be able to celebrate that with everybody I grew up with, and they're all still huge Leaf fans. So it was a special moment for my family.
Sounds like an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you had a very unique first NHL goal when you started. You scored your first NHL goal on your first NHL shot in your first NHL game, which was the Maple Leafs final game of the 2002-2003 season. What was that like for you, scoring like so quick like that?
It was surreal, to tell you the truth. It was a crazy week. Like, that game was crazy, but just the whole week, like the disappointment, we lost in game 7. I was playing for the Belleville Bulls in the OHL, and we lost to St. Mike's in game 7 of the first round. So, disappointed, and your junior career is done. If I could go back as an overager, but I knew that I was signing with the Leafs. So, going through that disappointment, then a day later signing with the Leafs, and then a day after that being in St. John's playing with the baby Leafs there, and then getting back in Toronto on Saturday, landing at 5:00, playing with the Leafs, because the game meant nothing. Kind of like the games tonight mean nothing for a lot of the teams that are playing. So it was 3 leagues in 5 nights for me. I was able to get a point in every game. So it was just a surreal week. And Hockey Night in Canada, playing with Gary Roberts and Owen Nolan, I was nervous, but at the same time excited, and I was pinching myself, but I was in the Leafs locker room sitting next to Ed Belfour. It was just kind of a crazy sequence of events, and then to score, I think it was my 3rd shift. You said it was my first shot. I think it was my 2nd or 3rd shift too. So it was early in the game, which obviously helps, kind of relax you a bit, because you're so high strung. You've been waiting for that moment your whole life, if you're even going to get it. And there I was, Hockey Night Canada. My grandpa was in the crowd, my family was in the crowd, my parents. And it happened quickly, because I didn't find out I was playing my first game until probably noon the same day. Like, I was in St. John's and got a phone call from Mike Penny saying, hop on a flight. So I took a flight and landed at 5:00 in Toronto, and was wheeling into the dressing room like less than 2 hours before the game.
Wow. Did you have a chance to talk to any of those older players and kind of get some glimpse of knowledge or some experience from them?
Not at that time. I walked in, I didn't say a word. I went to my spot and tried to do a warm up and collect myself. I honestly, the story goes, the trainer Matt Nichols said I was warming up, and because he was my trainer for many years, right to the end of my career really, and he said it was so funny because you're this 19-year-old kid, you're training on the bike, and Gary Roberts went up to him. He's like, "Who's this kid? What's this kid doing in our room, before the game?" And he's like, "That kid's centering you tonight." So that's a funny story that the guys didn't even know who I was. I looked like an extra trainer for the day, wheeling around that dressing room, because I was a scrawny kid too. So that's kind of how the story goes. And another tidbit about that, which is crazy, is I wear contacts, or I wore contacts, and I had to sleep on the plane from St. John's, because it's not a regular game day, because I was flying. So I wore dailies. My contacts were dailies, new ones every day. So I took them out on the plane because my eyes were so dry. just to sleep. And when I landed in Toronto, I was in such a rush to get to the game. I couldn't get an extra pair of contacts, which was in my luggage, because I had to go straight to the rink. So I didn't have time to grab them. So I actually played the game with no contacts on.
Wow.
I'm nearsighted, so I couldn't see like the chalkboard when Paquin's up there drawing lines and stuff, because I was sitting so far away. I could see like right in front of me. So yeah, that's another tidbit about that game. I had no contacts and just went out there and played. And yeah, it was a crazy night. Take me back, because yeah, wish I could go back there and start it all over again.
Yeah, for sure. I know when I don't have my glasses on or my contacts in, I'm basically blind. So that's really impressive.
Yeah,
and you ended up, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just did not. Good thing I wasn't reading any fine print, right? So it was good. I could see the black biscuit and the jerseys around me.
The most important parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you played for the Leafs after that for parts of 7 seasons. Do you have a moment that stands out to you as your most memorable during your time in Toronto?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of good moments as you know, the years were tough when you look back at them. Like, those are down years for Leaf fans for sure. You know, getting to play in the playoffs, I'd say game 7. I got to play in game 7 against Ottawa, game 5, 6, 7 against Ottawa, my first year. So that was unbelievable. ACC game 7 beating Ottawa. It's the famous game when Joe Newendike scores 2 on passes towards the net on Lalim. That's the one. But you know, just being in that moment was unbelievable. So I'd say those moments. Your first goals, obviously, that's the easy answer. Another cool one was when we played Montreal at the end of the year, and your season's on the line. Obviously, we needed help the next day and didn't get it, but just to beat the Habs and knock them out of the playoffs and give ourselves a chance to get in. You know, the hype for that one game was like a game 7, and it was like a 7-6 game or 6-5 game we had to win in regulation. That was a cool experience and night, and it's a lot to look forward to now for everybody to watch the Leafs and Habs play in the playoffs finally. So those moments, and yeah, I can go back. I have a good memory, so like I could pick out goals and whatever you want, but you know, those experience and moments you know, really stand out. But just everything that comes with being, you know, not just an NHLer, but like a Toronto Maple Leaf in that city, you know, was special. I embraced it and loved every second of it. Never looked past it. I knew how important, you know, you are as a role model, and you know, I think I'm just happy I got to experience that. You know, the only other thing I would want is to win a Stanley Cup, and but other than that, I can't really say I would change anything.
So going back to the beginning where you were talking about a little bit of the trades, and as hockey fans, when there's a trade, we often focus more on the players that are joining our team rather than the ones heading the other way. And we know you were part of a big trade deal on January 31st, 2010, that sent you, Jamal Mayers, and Nicholas Hagman to Calgary in exchange for Dion Phaneuf, Frederick Sjostrom, and Keith Ollie. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it's hard getting traded. It's hard getting traded whenever, but mid-season, it's you can't even explain it really. You know, I was not expecting to get traded when I did. I was becoming a UFA. So I knew at the deadline, if I didn't re-sign, you know, I'd probably maybe get sent somewhere as a rental before becoming a free agent. But this happened a month before the trade deadline out of nowhere on an off day. And, you know, getting to work with Brian Burke here in Calgary again, you know, you kind of, you know, he's become a friend, and you talk to him and you get the details. And he's like, no, I wanted to keep you. Like, I would have re-signed you, but we wanted Dion and they wanted you as part of the deal. So, yeah, it's just crazy to look back on it. But as a player, like, you have 5 hours to get your stuff, hop on a plane, and your life's changed forever. Like, you know, we still live in Calgary. So, you know, you're just kind of, you have no other, that's part of the business. I know that, and we get paid well, but you know, there's a lot of emotions involved, because you become a part, especially when I played in Toronto for so long, that you become a part of the team, part of that logo, part of everything that's going on in that dressing room. And then all of a sudden that's just taken away from you, and you got to go to a new team, reinvent yourself with new teammates. It's like going to a new high school, and is the best analogy, and trying to fit in, right? And see where you fit, and how the dynamic of that dressing room is, how things work with that team. So it's a big adjustment, and there's not a lot of time to do it when it's mid-season. And it was something I'm glad I experienced it now. Obviously, we love Calgary, we live here, our kids are born here, but it was difficult at the time. I couldn't sugarcoat that. It definitely was hard mentally for myself and emotionally.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm pretty sure you remember this. In April 2015, April 25th, Game 6, Flames Canucks. You guys go down early, and then you go on to score the game winner in the third period to eliminate the Canucks and move on to the second round. Would you say that was one of, or if not the biggest goal of your career?
Oh yeah, 100%. You know what? Unfortunately, I didn't get the teams I was on. I was in a lot of rebuilds. We'd missed the playoffs by 1 point, which just ate at me. It still eats at me that I didn't play more in the playoffs, and that's what you want as a player. But you only can control what you can as a player, and you do the best with the team you're on, and control what you can. And to finally get to the playoffs after going through another rebuild, I did in Toronto, and then in Calgary, we kind of went through the same thing. To get back there and be in that, I relished that moment as much as I could. For sure, it was the biggest goal. You score a lot of big goals throughout your career, but a series clinching goal in the playoffs on home ice, in a tie game late in the third, I don't think anything beats that. And that's definitely the moment. If I want to feel good about myself, I'll click on YouTube and go watch that play, because it just brings back the emotions. That arena erupted. It was so loud. And I just, as a player, it eats at me that I didn't get more opportunity to play. But I wasn't a superstar. You can't carry a team on your back. You play with the cards you're dealt, and do the best you can with them. And I wouldn't change a thing. I embraced my roles on the team I was on, and whatever team I was on. And that moment was definitely one that I'll never forget.
Sure. With that goal, you endeared yourself to some Calgary fans pretty nicely.
Yeah, well, it was a struggle here early. They weren't very fond of me when I first got traded here, because Dion was the big name, right? Dion went to Toronto. He's the biggest name in the trade, where you had myself. Hagman was scoring 20, 25 goals a year in Toronto. I think you had him, and then I was the centerman. So I was the other guy that, everybody expected me to be a top line center, but I was always a two-way guy. I could play top line minutes. I was in Toronto, and I would play with Phil. Like, I was smart enough that I could play up and down the lineup. And when I got here, it just it didn't work to start. The expectations weren't realistic, really. And I had to battle and work just to win the fan base back. So it was just, and there's no way to explain how I did that. I just went about my business, and one day at a time, just do what I did my whole career. And things turned, and they took an appreciation for myself. And I'm thankful for that, because we love it here, and the people here are great. And I wish it would have worked out better when we first got here. For sure, we had some good players on our team. We had Kipper and net, but there was just something off about the team dynamic, and I can get into that, but it would bore you guys. And I just think it didn't work out right away. But I definitely, the longer I was here, the more I was appreciated, which I'm happy about.
Yeah. So obviously that was a big goal. This next one, a little bit before, I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about a pretty well-known goal that you scored. It was a penalty shot goal on March 22nd, 2014, also known as the Emerson Goal. If you could tell us a bit about that one.
Yeah, that's for my family and personal reasons, like life reasons. That's the most special goal for us. It was the story is, we were very open about it, so the hockey world knows about it, and definitely the Calgary community knows about it. So we lost our son. I was on the road. I came home, we're having our first child, and yeah, he was born and the hospital here, and you know, a couple hours later he didn't make it. There's complications, and you know, as it just stuns you as a parent. It still stings me to this day, and for me and my wife, it was a hard time, and we wanted to be open about it. And you know, a lot of people go through it, and it's not easy. It never gets easy. So we, you know, I took some time away from the team and did what I needed to do for myself, and to help my wife and our family. And when I got, you know, back to playing a few weeks after that, you know, that was kind of my escape, and it's what I needed to move past it. My second game back, we went to Edmonton, and I got a penalty shot. You know, kind of a weak call, but I had a penalty shot in Edmonton, and yeah, I scored on a penalty shot. And to this day, I'm like, this is a sign from our little guy Emerson, showing that he's with us, because just for things to play out that way, you know, it was a Saturday night, and yeah, it was a special moment, and that's what we call the Emerson goal. And you know, we're still very committed, and we're open about it, and we try and help out the NICU here in Calgary at the Foothills and the Children's Hospital, and it's something we're very near and dear to our heart to help people that go through it as well.
Yeah, I will add 3 assists in that game, which also probably felt pretty good.
It was a night. It was a good night.
Yeah, nice to have a few of those. So after this kind of all unfolded, you and your wife created the Emerson Stajan Foundation. Could you tell us a bit about, I mean, I can kind of see why and the importance to you, but what you guys want to do with the foundation, what you're doing, and what it means to you and Katie?
Yeah, we wanted to, you know, keep Emerson's legacy alive and remember him. We did a big event the next year with the team. We did a gala in his name and raised $125,000 for the NICU where he was born, and everything kind of happened. And so that's where the money went, and we want to keep it going after that. So we started a foundation in his name, and we try and raise money for it every year. And as money gets accumulated, we take that money and donate it to local charities, you know, that will honor Emerson and keep his legacy going, whether it's to the NICU, which is usually the go-to, or the Children's Hospital here. And that's kind of what our thoughts with that and what we want to do.
That's amazing. Sounds incredibly special.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I'm sure we'll post links when we post this for people to donate, to get involved, to just learn about that. So super awesome.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
For sure. So after you were traded from the Leafs, you went on to play parts of 9 seasons in Calgary. Then in retirement, you and your family decide that you're going to stay in Calgary. We said before you're from Mississauga, from Toronto. When did Calgary become home to you? And what was it like to decide that you were going to stay there and not come back to Ontario?
It's not easy. I think there's just so many dynamics to it, but we got married in 2010. So the summer after the trade is when we got married, and we'd always come back to Toronto. We had a house in Toronto. Of course, we built a house in Toronto, lived in it for 2 months and got traded. That's usually what happens when you build a house and you're playing hockey, you get traded right after. And that's what happened to us. So we'd spend our summers in Toronto, the off seasons. And in about 2013, we started staying in Calgary longer and longer. And yeah, we just kind of said, you know what, like, it's hard to go back and forth, like, especially to move for a summer. Like, so what we did is we started just coming back for a month and visiting everybody, and, you know, just base our home, make Calgary our home, because this is where we were all the time. And then when you have kids, you start really thinking about, you know, the family side. Our kids were born here. Where do we want to raise our kids? And that's just kind of the decision we came to. And you just become more and more a part of the community here, the city. You know, we were here 9 years. It's, you know, so it's not just easy to pick up and leave. And you know, it's hard because we have a lot of family, and my parents, Katie's parents, are in Ontario. brothers and sisters are there. Like that's for sure hard and makes the decision really hard. But it's a flight away, and this is where we want to raise our kids, and it's become home for us. And that's just kind of where the decision goes. It's an ongoing conversation, right? It's you never know where life's going to take you, but right now, this is home, and we'll see what kind of opportunities come along the way down the road. But I think just we've lived here our whole married life, and our kids are born here, and it's become home. That's the easy answer.
For sure. So you stayed in Calgary, you retired from the Calgary Flames, and we know you've been doing some work with Flames TV, doing some intermission and post-game shows for the Flames. How did that come along? And was broadcasting always something you were interested in or looked at after you finished playing?
Yeah, I don't think I never knew what I was going to do after I was playing. I know I probably should have started thinking about it a bit. I think most players struggle with that. You just want to play forever. But yeah, it's just kind of, I was retired and in Calgary, and spending time with my family and trying to, enjoy that, because they grow fast, and I wasn't traveling anymore, which is nice. And yeah, just people in the business, you're around the team all the time. You build relationships when you're somewhere for so long. Said, come try this, maybe you'll like it. So I just tried it out and enjoyed it. And it's not too much time. You don't have to go on the road for big spurts, and I'm around my kids during the day all the time. And now that the pandemic happened, it's almost like nice to go to the rink and watch the game and, get out of the house, because we've all been stuck in our houses for so long. So it's just kind of something that's kind of happened organically, and I enjoy it. We'll see where it takes me. I don't know. I like coaching and teaching and that aspect of life and hockey. And hockey's given me so much that I'm coaching my 6-year-old team and helping out with that, and I really enjoy it. But we'll see. We'll see kind of opportunities come, because I do love the game and want to stay involved, and doing the media thing has kept me involved and current and watching the players. So we'll see what happens going forward.
So going back to Toronto, you played with current Maple Leafs defenseman TJ Brodie for parts of 6 seasons in Calgary. What can you tell us about TJ Brodie, the person?
He's laid back and a man of a few words, but he's a great dude. He's a really good friend of ours, him and his wife. And when you play with someone for 6 years, you create a friendship and a bond, and your families become family, because you're here when it's not your hometown. Your teammates become your family. Really, that's who you're hanging out with all the time. So they're just such good people. He's from Chatham, and that area adores him, and he's the guy there. So I knew that they would love him in Toronto, and I knew he would fit well in that system. Just his style. He was getting a lot of grief here for whatever reason the last few years that he was here. But I always thought he was, just a solid all around player. He's really good. He's a smart guy. He makes the smart play, and he's skilled. He can skate. He's just made for today's game. He's good positionally. He's not going to go and throw a huge hit, open ice. He's going to be positional though. And defensively, he's really good, underrated. And offensively, he's a smart player. He makes the right plays. He can make, cross ice passes. So I knew he'd fit the Toronto system, and he'd be a good ad. And that's what we've seen this year. So it doesn't surprise me. And but he is a quiet guy. You're not going to get much from him in an interview. Maybe at his house when you have some beers, he'll open up a bit, like we get to see at times. But he's very reserved, but he's a great dude, and would fit into any dressing room, really.
Yeah, I know Zach, Ryan, and I are huge fans of TJ Brodie, and we're happy he's here in Toronto. And
yeah, I question his number choice though. It's a tough number on him, but
and obviously we've been saying you live in Calgary and cover the Flames, but at the end of the day, we are a Leafs podcast. So we just wanted to know your thoughts on the Leafs heading into the playoffs this season.
I like them. I've said it all year. I think they're the team to beat in the North for sure. Just not just on paper, but when you watch them, they got the game breakers now, and they got solid defense. They're top four. I really like if they can stay healthy. And obviously everybody talks about the goaltending, and that's the biggest question mark. But Jack Campbell's been really good this year, and I've always liked Frederik Andersen. He gets a lot of heat in Toronto. I know this year when he went through a slide, he's coming off an injury, but I've always liked his game. He's beat us a few times here in Calgary in the playoffs when he was on Anaheim. So I think they're the team to beat. I think I'd be surprised if they don't come out of the North, really. So enjoy it. I hope they can do it. Obviously anything can happen in playoffs, but I think it's an exciting time to be a Leaf fan for sure.
Yeah, who would have thought a Leaf player gets torn up by the media? Never heard of that one.
I know I know you just look back at Larry Murphy and Brian McCabe, and like just the way the fans acted towards them at the end. But that's Canada, right? And Toronto's a bigger scale. It happens in Calgary to a lesser extent, but Toronto, it could be ruthless, but they're passionate, right? That's what you love about it.
Comes from a good place, at least good intentions.
Exactly.
You'd hope so. For the three of us, at least it does.
Yeah.
Where's the fun in it if you're not that way, right?
Yeah, exactly. So talking about the playoffs, I mean, I know the three of us are cheering for the Leafs. Who's your pick to take it this year? I know it's such an open question because it could be anyone with the format and everything. Yeah. And it's kind of like a second parter, but played for the Leafs, grew up a Leaf fan, moved to Calgary. Now you cover the team. Do you cheer for the Leafs at all, or is it just like Flames? And yeah, who's your pick?
I didn't cheer for the Leafs after I got traded for a little bit,
Fair enough.
Like any player. But no, I now that I'm retired and you look at it, for sure, I want to see the Leafs do well and want to see them win. Like that fan base deserves it, and that's who I'll be pulling for. Calgary's out, so I don't really have any ties to them now. Obviously, I have buddies on Calgary that I would have liked to have seen do well, but they're out. So Leafs are the team that I'm rooting for. Who I think's going to win is a different story. I think whoever comes out of that Vegas Colorado division, I think that they're the team to beat. But it's all up in the air. I think there's a lot of fluff because we really don't even know how the divisions compare to each other. Everybody speculates, the North is weak, or this division's really good, or the North is really good, but we don't know. So it's going to be fascinating watching the Final Four teams and the difference, but they'll all be good hockey teams, and you get there, anything can happen.
Absolutely. I know. I think the three of us were talking before we're setting up a bracket challenge for our podcast. I know we all kind of talked about the same thing. Vegas, Colorado. I had Vegas. Think Carolina might be a sleeper. Hopefully the Leafs go far, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Carolina. Yeah, and then Florida looks good. Carolina looks really good. Yeah, there's a lot of teams like that's. I mean, every year there's like this year more than ever. I think is the divisions. The top teams are really separate. Like, but there's like 7 teams that I could be like, yeah, they could win. Right? There's 7 or 8 teams, so we'll see. And then there might be a Dallas in there that gets all the way to the final. Who knows?
Yep.
Oh yeah, like it could be super crazy. I know it's been forever since like there was like 2 Eastern Conference teams like in the final or something like that could even happen. So could be a very unique playoff situation.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. I think we'll see. It'll be cool to see fans in the crowd in the States. I know that's gonna be interesting if the Leafs get through. How's that working? Are they gonna have to play in the States, or do they have to play empty buildings? Like that'll be, because being at the games, like I've been in the Saddle Dome to watch the games, and it's on TV. They do a good job with the fake noise, but when you're in the building, it's the atmosphere sucks. Like the fans bring so much emotion, especially in playoffs, right? Yeah. You just feel the energy in the arena, and that's missing, right? So everybody's not dealing with that though. Like different cities are allowing 50% capacity in the States, and some are probably going to be full in Florida. Who knows? So that'll be a little bit of a challenge, I think, for whoever comes out of the North, because I don't think Canada will be letting any teams in, and who knows if the border is even going to be open for it. We'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. And I know that the NHL's tried a few different things to kind of change it up and still draw interest and stuff. And one of those things was the reverse retro jerseys. So we wanted to know if you had any thoughts on, I know there's been a lot of controversy around the Leafs jerseys and the Flames jerseys that had Blasty on them, with which in my opinion look gorgeous. But I wanted to know what you thought of the reverse retros.
Yeah, honestly, I do not like the Leaf jerseys at all. I think,
Appreciate the honesty.
yeah, like they're blue and white, like, you know, maybe an accent of gray. I guess we had that on our TML when I first came into the league, but to have like blue and gray as your colors, I don't. It doesn't go. Don't leave tradition. But the Flames ones, maybe for a game, I don't love them, honestly. The Flames should be red, and I don't like the black, to tell you the truth, at all. People love, there's a big Blasty crew here that pushes for Blasty, but I don't like it. Reminds me, for me, it reminds me of the 93 Canucks, of the black jerseys that they would wear, and that's what it reminds me of. And so not a fan of either of them, to tell you the truth. There were very few of those jerseys that I liked, but and I'm a jersey guy. Like I like looking at old jerseys, and I have my opinions, but when they go out there, and you know, I give my honest opinion. I'm not a fan of either.
Completely fair.
Yeah,
Like
agreed.
even Montreal's blue ones are awful too. Like it's just not, like, how do you go to, I don't know. I guess they're cool when you first see them, but I'm like, it's the Habs. Like they can't be wearing blue. So
Yeah, there's some weird
I
ones too. The
agree.
Detroit ones kind of look like practice jerseys.
yeah, there's Edmonton's aren't bad. They're white, but they're white, right? So it's, you know, I think you can go through the whole league, and there's some that are okay, that's okay, and then there's some that are just like, hey, but they make money for the teams. That's really what it's all about, to tell you the truth.
That's true. And just to finish off, you're just going back in your career, you had a opportunity to play with some great players, and on the Leafs, guys like Sundin, Domi, and Cabriolet, and with the Flames, Aginla, Giordano, and Kiprusoff. Do you have a favorite teammate or line mate that you got to play with?
There's so many. You know what? I'm probably closest with Gio, because Giordano, just because we're same age. We played in the GTHL together growing up, and then our paths crossed here, and we were together for 8 years. And our wives are good friends, and our kids. So he'd be the guy, friendship wise, and you know, he's obviously worked for everything he's had. I really enjoyed playing with Alex Steen in Toronto early in my career. I thought we had really good chemistry, and whoever we played with, you know, but we didn't really get to see it through too long. And we got moved. Lee Stempniak's the guy that I crossed paths with a few times. He was my roommate in Calgary and Toronto, so good friends with him. And but you know, when you look at like stars, like I got to play with Phil Kessel on a line. He was so fun to play with. You know, again, he was obviously, these are Hall of Famers, so it's easy to say. So I'm trying to think of guys who are underrated. Antropov, I really liked playing with Antropov and Ponikarovsky. I think it was in 08, 09. We were the first line with the Leafs, and we had good years. We all had over 55 points, and those guys are smart players. They take a lot of heat too, but just smart players, big bodies. Obviously, they're not superstars, and we were kind of missing that in that era. But you know, we made it work, and I really enjoyed playing with those guys. But I'm pretty easygoing. I love all my teammates. You know, there's a few where I'm like, yeah, you know, he's kind of, you know, not the best person, but I'm yeah, if you're a good person, you work hard and give it your all. You know, that's I can appreciate that, because everybody brings something a little bit different to your team, and you got to appreciate the guy who's blocking shots just as much as you got to appreciate the guy who's scoring 30 a year. You all got to make it work to have success. So yeah, but I don't know, goalies for sure. Kipper and Ed Belfour were just special though. Like I saw them both late in their careers, but you could just see why they were as good as they were.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of these Leafs names. It's just like so nostalgic for us, because that's probably when we were like just getting in, like Ponikarovsky, Antropov, like those guys were like the first Leafs, you included, that we really kind of came accustomed to.
I should say like I loved like Cabriolet and Caber and Tux, like they're all so good to me as a young guy. Sundin was too. And, I was very lucky to come into that situation with those older guys because they embraced me. And, even Domi was good to me. And, I can't complain about anything. And I roomed with Joe Newendike. I would train with Gary Roberts. So it was just kind of, I could go on and on about all these guys, but Caberlet was a guy I felt like I had good chemistry with. Just he seemed to make that pass to everybody. He was such a good passer. So there's so many guys.
Yeah, and we know just from what compared to you, but what we know, from our hockey fandom, that you were definitely a favorite teammate to a lot of people, even an opponent. We saw you had that little chat with Jason Spezza not long ago on the Leafs broadcast, so that was pretty cool. You also talked about your time with Steen there, so maybe I can take a little credit. We had the 3 connection from the photo shoot.
Yeah. Well, you create bonds, right? And I played with Spez like when I was like 6 years old. Like we were his dad coaches in like house league hockey back in the day. So and I played in Belleville with him for a bit in the OHL. So you grow these bonds. It's and Spez was a rival for many years, right? He played in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And man, they had some good teams. But you still have those bonds and friendships.
Totally.
I don't think he's ever going to retire. I hope he doesn't.
He's been
not
good.
the way he's playing. He's accepted. He's embraced that role, and he's been good. So we'll see. He's like he said, one day at a time, right?
Yeah. I know the guys on the broadcast tonight called him the unsung hero of the Leafs season. So see what happens. Matt, before we let you go, if people listening want to learn more about the Emerson Stajan Foundation, want to get involved, want to donate, anything like that, where should they go? What should they do? Website? How can they get involved?
Yeah, the easiest way is, you can just Google Emerson Stajan Foundation. But if you just go to my Instagram, I started an Instagram a while ago. I don't really have a ton of followers, but it's just on my little bio there. There's a link to the website where you can go and donate. So if you'd like to, go ahead. It's going to go to a great cause. And I appreciate you giving me that plug for the foundation.
Absolutely. It's the least we could do for you agreeing to come on. I know it was really cool for the 3 of us. So thank you again. It was an awesome, you're a busy guy. Life's kind of crazy right now. So we really appreciate you taking the time to spend a little bit of time with some 3 of your older fans. So, well, maybe younger, but 3 fans nonetheless. So thank you again.
Well, no, thanks for having me, guys. It's my pleasure, and enjoy the next few months. I think it'll be a fun one for Leafs fans. So enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
We hope
So
so.
the way we wrap up all of our episodes, we finish off with the Go Leafs Go. I don't know if you're allowed to hit us with the Go Leafs Go, helping out with the Flames. Maybe contractually, it's kind of like a gray area.
Oh, for the playoffs, we can say Go Leafs Go. Let's do this.
All right,
Flames
Matt,
are out,
awesome.
so it doesn't matter.
Matt, Stage, and everyone,
Awesome.
thank you very much. We appreciate it.
All right, guys, take care.
Thanks.